Okay. Good evening, heroes and heroines, and welcome to Practicing Programming in C, in which we are listening to Heather Lee's Throne from 2018, followed by Kate Bush's 50 Words for Snow from 2011? Yeah, from November 2011. I say we, it's only I am listening to it because of copyright reasons. But you can play along at home if you want. So yesterday we were doing this depart assignment function. And we're doing it as we're sort of doing it as a recursive thing. Keeping track of scopes and, calling depart assignment again if you go into an open brace. Calling it down here if you've gone into a closing brace and scope and you're still within a scope. And at the end of the stream, we sort of ended the stream finishing at this state. And when we finished, I was kind of like, I wasn't fully convinced that this function was finished, that it does what it needs to do. I mean, it might do what it needs to do, but it might do it in a strange way. And I was thinking about this off stream, and I think basically I need to change it into essentially like a do while sort of thing. Don't do it recursively. Just come into the function and set the scope. I think I need to set the scope to be 0, so I keep track of the scope within the function rather than passing it in. So the scope is like at 0. Scope level, if it would be, is at 0. And then you go into this do while loop, and then it's essentially do this whole routine while you are within a scope. So while the scope level is greater than 0, and the scope level will increase every time you see every time you see an open brace, right? And it'll decrease every time you see a closing brace. So you need to kind of like go through this whole thing syntactically correctly, essentially. So I think I might do that. I think I might just change this to do the do while kind of structure. And then what I think I'd like to do is I'd like to actually step through it, because I didn't step through this yesterday. I just sort of looked through it and just sort of made sure, tried to vaguely figure out if it was right. But I think what I'll do is I'll change it to do the do while thing, and then step through it and make sure that we actually get through all this stuff in the way that we expect. So that's the plan. So I think that's how you do the structure of that. I should just do that, can't you? So what have we got? Formal, if it's that, does it? Right, yeah, so then rather than calling depart assignment there, or indeed there, I think this should be able to happen. Right. So actually I can't make it unsigned, can I? Because I need to be able to check if the scope level is greater than is less than 0. So here we go. And I think I might just do that here. Right, I think that should be instructive as to what's going on. Actually, you could also, what does print token actually look like? That's just that. So it's colorized C. Print token, yes, that'll all be in the one line. I mean, well, let's just check. Print token, it will end with a new line. So yes, I think I might actually not do that. Just let it do that. Let's just have a quick look at this tokens thing. So a token, it's a token type or a string of content. So the token type, where's that? Yeah, right. So yeah, we don't have any field information in here. That's something I might do in this stream, actually. So what I mean by that is, in token scope tokens. So in here, you actually get the field from the current token, don't you? Current field is in spec. If we've got a spec string for each field. Spec is out the current token, so we're using the current token. Yeah, I think essentially it's taking the type specs in the current token. So yeah, we've got the tokens here. I mean, each time, yeah. So each time you go in, I mean, it gets a bit cheesy because you sort of end up doing essentially exactly the same thing as scope tokens, which is the thing that actually processes these things. I mean, since we're doing the same thing, it sort of seems like where will this go? After you call depart assignment, if it's not in the field, it's not going to go through this else. It's not going to go through this else if either. It's not going to go through that. So it would just loop back around. It kind of seems like if you're hitting a valid field, you want to just sort of say, you want to just set a boolean departing field, right? And then you just go through this function again, doing all of this actual real logic. You know, grabbing out the field and all that kind of stuff. And when you've got the field, you know what, well, you don't actually know, you don't yet know what type you should be expecting. And that's something that I'm actually going to introduce. I'm going to add to the field the thing that we should expect it to. How can I put this? So for the icon field, it will expect a string, but for the update interval field, although that's not really a field, is it? Sorry, yeah, it is. It's a field of the project. That will expect that. Sorry, it'll expect a number. Which is a bit unfortunate actually, because that ain't never going to get type checked in the root scope. So yeah, I don't know. Let's continue to do this as a separate thing. Rather than marrying it into the scope tokens function. So with the passing an assignment, so we should expect the first thing to be either an identifier or a closing brace, really. Right. Actually, I mean, I'll tell you what, let's run it and see what happens. So it does actually get to the end. I'm just gonna step through it, and then we can just see exactly what it's doing. It could be a bit clearer as to how we actually write the damn thing. I mean, I say it was included in the same thing. I presume it was. It's got invalid field, something. So I can only say depart assignment. So we're calling depart assignment multiple times. So yeah, it's not actually working as I would expect, or as it needs to work. Because really, we should see this one project. So we should see the something, right? We should see this depart assignment. Or should we see that we're departing this assignment here, the assignment for nothing, for something, sorry. Right, and then it will report the error invalid field, and then we should depart assignment again for the project identifier. Right, so we should see that, and then I think what we should then see is we should just remain in this function until we've escaped from this whole thing. So even if we go into a new scope, we should just be looping within this while loop, right? So we should keep seeing, we should see departing, but we shouldn't see more depart assignment calls, right? That's what we should be seeing. So let's just step through and see what actually happens. Should also mention that I'm just listening to my absolute favourite song of last year, by the way. Scorpio and Androzani by Heather Lee. Kind of feels a bit heretical to be speaking over her. So here we go. So yeah, each time through we're going to be printing the current token anyway, so that's fine. Scope level is 0. Indent that, which is fine. the current token is something. So this should be very simple. We should actually let's just show the actual config while we're doing it. Right. So we're departing to identify something, which is right here. So if token is identified, which it is, jump past it. Should expect a token assigned. Yep, that will be syntactically correct. Then we expect a string or a number. Yep, we're seeing that. And then if it's a semicolon, increment past it, which we do. So having done that, I think here is where we should then be saying I think here it should just be looping back, right? So I don't think this is correct. I don't think it should be then checking. I think this should be an else if. Right? So let's just fix that, because I don't think that shouldn't be happening. So departing something. Right, so we successfully departed that thingamajig. Scope level should be 0 still, yeah. So we've successfully departed this assignment. Right, which is absolutely fine. Let's continue to the next one, which is the project. Right, so we're here. We should be expecting yeah, it's an identifier, so we'll skip past it. Then we expect an assignment. Yep, we expect either a string or a number, which seems absolutely perfectly fine. So here, right, we have this situation here. Is it a semicolon? No, it's not. So, is it an open brace? Yes, it is. Could it be anything else? Could it be... It can't be a thing. Oh, I'll tell you what. We're never going to hit this case, I don't think. I think we need to test this inside the... after the semicolon, I think. I think that's possibly one thing we're going to have to do. But anyway, token open brace. We're skipping past the brace, incrementing the scope level. Successfully departed, and while scope level is greater than 0, which it is, we're going to go back round. So where are we now? We've incremented past here, so we should be at this identifier. Yeah. So this is all valid. Yes, it's a string. Is it semicolon? No, it's not. Is it an open brace? Yep. So we're again incrementing the scope level. So the scope level is now 2. So we're now sitting on here. So this is going to be a bit different. We are going to encounter the semicolon. right? So we've encountered the semicolon. Scope level is greater than 0. So let's continue. We are on an identifier. Yeah, so on the title now. That was unit. So yeah, we should see that. Successfully depart that. Successfully depart the numbering scheme. Right. Ah. Oh no, we do. It is a semicolon. Right. So we're going to be now at the closing brace. So yeah, if it's a token identifier, which it ain't, it's a closing brace. So that's fine. Increment past that, decrease the scope level. So that's now 1. If scope level's that. So we successfully departed some scope. While scope level is greater than 0. Go back around. So this is player template now. Yeah. So it's going to go through all of these dudes. And we're still going around because the scope level's still up there. Title, unit, numbering scheme. So is it semicolon? Yep, it is. Scope level is still greater than that. We're now at the closing brace. So if token identifier, if it's closing brace, decrease the scope level. And now return true. So I think we've successfully written our depart assignment function. So yeah, I think that's not correct. We should see there's 2 calls to depart assignments. Yeah. So increments the scope. There is one thing I do need to do actually. Right, I think we need to handle this case. Well, we do get out of it. Okay. Let me just see if I can just properly fool it. Yeah, I mean, it's just not bothered. I guess that's not syntactically valid. Yeah, it isn't, is it? Yeah, I suppose it, like, if you... How do you make a... Actually, if I do that should be syntactically valid, shouldn't it? Well, I say syntactically valid. Opening brace way. I was expecting us not to be able to escape from this, not to depart this assignment. Let's just give it another one. Where would this be? catchable. Departing a comment single. Yeah, you see, this ain't right, is it? Like, this shouldn't be trying to depart comments. And also, like, shouldn't this guy be catching it? And it sort of is, isn't it? Because if you see, go all the way through here. It's departing a closing brace. Not exactly sure which one, but it's trying to depart a comment. It's trying to depart it, but doesn't successfully do so. So yeah, it lets us return. Ah, hang on a minute. Well, mind you, right. If you return false, it should be reporting an error, shouldn't it? Ah. That's it. Yeah, it just wasn't handling the failure case. So maybe that's sufficient. I thought I'd have to handle more looping, but I guess it just... sorry, I thought I'd have to handle infinite looping. But maybe I don't need to bother. Maybe it's just working. Yeah, that's correct. One depart assignment. So we've got this one, and then we've got that one. Yeah, so yeah, I think that's just probably fine now. And also, we didn't test this necessarily, but this should hit that error. Yeah. So yeah, I think that's fine. Now this stuff over here, this is probably printing out this stuff over here, I mean. It's printing out all the supports and it's printing out all the projects. Probably printing out all the mediums as well if they were in there. And then it's probably printing out all of this. So what we need to do next, we've got a couple of things that we need to do. We need to copy, when we go into a new scope, if it's permeable, we need to pull in all of the previously set stuff that is actually appropriate for this scope. We need to do that, and then what we need to do is we need to sort of merge the newly set stuff into it. So for example, where does this happen? In fact, it happens down in Risky, doesn't it? Yeah, here we go. So we've got this scope here, and we're setting player template. Now when we come down into this sub scope of this, we want to pull in this, and this, right? Push those guys onto this guy's list of fields. And then we want to go through this guy's actual list of its own fields and essentially replace the guys that have cascaded down. I suppose we have a bit of a question here, which is, if we have multiple things, so in the project scope, so you can include, so this false means, is it a singleton? Yeah, project is also false. So most of them are actually true. Most of these guys are single. You can only set one of them. Ah, yeah, right. That's an interesting predicament. Because it's like, well, I mean, this one here is actually the more appropriate one. Although we did say, didn't we, that we need to make sure that the project itself only includes the contents of its parent project, not the parent project itself. If that makes sense. Which is different from well, actually, hang on a minute. No, we needed to make sure that we can't. It doesn't include sibling projects. I think that was the rule, wasn't it? Because basically, right, you can set update interval equals 4 on the root scope. And the idea is that this setting will propagate down into all permeable types that contain the field update interval, which is only the project scope, right? So that would basically mean that in here we end up with whatever that was, update interval. yeah, I mean these projects in here aren't even syntactically. They're not even. Well, they are syntactically valid, but they're not actually. They're not valid in terms of this field, in terms of this type. But essentially, every project you see should pull in update interval equals 4, right? And it should also pull in projects. But if you see, in this guy's case here, right, we've got an update interval up at the top of the file, which means that according to our cascading rule, this project is going to inherit it, right? Now, this guy is syntactically at the same level as the update interval. It's at the root scope. And we are saying that a project can include projects, right? And it can include many of them. But we shouldn't be doing this, right? We shouldn't include that in there. That ain't the right thing to do. We shouldn't do that. We shouldn't do that, nor should we be doing we shouldn't be doing this either. Like pulling in the contents of this guy. I think, yeah, the only rule there is that it's a sibling, isn't it? So that similarly up here, like when you set the title of this guy, you shouldn't be doing that. Update interval is a sort of sibling of the project, you could say, because they're both children of the parent scope, the root scope. And that should be allowed. So it's like, you come into this project scope, and you go through all of the field members of this guy's parent scope, which is the root scope, and all of these guys essentially go through all of those, seeing if they are even contained in this type spec. If they are, then push them onto this person's scope. Unless they are a project themselves. Would that be consistent for this down here? Like when you go, so we're going to come into here, copy all of these dudes in, so update interval, copy in. All of these, whatever is set up at the top of the file. And then when you come into here, we're then going to be copying in all of this guy's stuff. This ain't going to include a project at this point. We then come down into here, and we also want to copy in all of this guy's stuff up here, this parent. But we don't want to copy that. So yeah, it just seems like all you do is you literally copy everyone apart from a project. Right? So yeah, there's that side. There's copying in. There's also including. We need to handle the includes, so we need to actually pull in the stuff from the include files. And I think this, we were saying this should be syntactically valid, including this guy here. Although, I mean, should we just say that you can't do that? Yeah, I guess that's not much of a massive question actually, because all it would be is just changing, well, it'd be removing this from the project, I think. And all including would entail is essentially going into this file, looking for all persons, all mediums, all projects, default medium set for projects. Looking for all of those things so we can actually see we've got this, and essentially all it does. Oh, yeah, how do we actually merge this in? That's unfortunate. Because we would like to be able to do that, wouldn't we? And also, would this even be permitted by our rule? You know, like if you're saying you're allowed project and default medium, like, is it just implied that you can also include itself? It just seems a bit, that seems a bit weird. Seems a bit tough. I guess we could do the, we could figure that out as we go. We could just like get the general idea in. And the general idea, all it is it goes into that file and it just sticks this scope, these scopes, into whatever root scope this person is in. So it'd be pushing on to this guy's root scope, people, mediums, right? And then when we come down to here, in the same way that update interval was propagating down into these projects, we would have the whatever's valid in here that we just pasted into here, propagating down also. Well, actually, what do we include? Persons and mediums. I suppose what that actually means is, because those things aren't actually included in the project. The project contains things like owner, annotator, co-host, guest. It contains those things, and those things refer to people. And it contains a default medium, which refers to mediums. So yeah, that won't actually get propagated down. These would just be it'd be a search, but essentially when you see this thing, it'd be searching in a different struct. So it'd be storing those in a different array. But then let's do the first thing, which is pasting all the containing things down. As you know, when we enter a new scope, just paste all its parent things down that are not itself. So it's not a project itself. I mean, maybe we should hard code that. I mean, is that a hard coded thing, or is it simply a case of saying? Yeah, I mean, they are using that. I'm just saying hard code because the project is the only thing that can actually inherit stuff. It's the only permeable type. It probably wouldn't hurt to just sort of say just don't include well, hold on a second. Don't pull in the stuff from itself, right? You can initialize a project inside a project, but you don't copy in projects from their parents. Yeah, I think that's consistent. Yeah, anyway, that's what we're doing. But not right immediately. I'll do it in just a second when I return. So I'll be right back. Here it returns. So this might be dead easy to do, actually. In which case we could do another thing before the end of the stream. But yeah, I think I'd like to do another hour, just while we listen to 50 Words for Snow, an hour and 5. Then take a break for some food, and then I'd like to probably do a bit more, actually. So yeah, let's see how much we can get done. So, scope tokens was the function that we're going to be calling this thing in. So we come down here, push a new scope, and when we push a new scope, we want to set its type spec, and then we want to absorb its parents' stuff, its parents' fields. So let's just call this function absorb fields. It's going to be the new parent and the parent's parent. Right. I think that's all you need. And these guys are scope trees, aren't they? So this is the current, or I guess the, yeah, let's call it this. If the parent's field ID, oh right, yeah, we need to say for each one, we need to say ID is in type, current field is in spec. So yeah. So yeah, it's not exactly the strings differing. It's a similar type of thing, but it's not returning a field. I don't think. Is it? It's a bit weird because like this is called current field is in spec. And I want to say if field is in spec, and I want to be saying, I want to be passing this spec and this ID. So let's just do that. So it's going to be this type spec and that ID. Just sort of thinking about the field is set situation. I think we should be pushing on the field anew, using the actual value obviously, because that's what we want. But I kind of feel like you want to be leaving the is set. You want to be setting these guys to be as if they're newly initialized, essentially. Does that make sense? And then when you come down here, you know when we do this push in pair stuff and the push string pair, I think rather than this being a push pair or push in pair, it should actually first of all, I mean it could do push in pair, but it could first of all check to see if it already contains one. So like if it is a singleton and and this guy is already contained within it. And also this isn't right actually anyway, because like up here we're warning that the field was already set, but then down here we're still going ahead and pushing on, but pushing the whole new thing on. Let's just, I think we need to do this. We need to do this. And it's essentially like if field is set. So we need to distinguish. Well, it's actually sort of like distinguish between setting and pushing. I think that should make sense to me. So that was a push int pair. Yeah. See what I'm saying though? Because like, if you just push another int pair, or if you push another string pair, you're just going to get another one on. And if it's a singleton, it's like, well, you shouldn't really be able to. I mean, yes, you could just pick the last one, but really you should just be able to go through all the fields and say, when you see the icon, just because that's what this is. It's like we've set the icon twice here, and we should really be overwriting this over that. And when we finally actually get to merge these guys in and actually use them, we should just be having one icon, because an icon is a singleton. But in this case, we're not going to have that. We're going to have multiple of them in the list of pairs within the scope tree. So that was all driven by this question. Should we set the set to set? And maybe we actually do. Right, because that should be handled down here. Oh, actually, hang on a minute. When will you do that? Yeah, it's a tough question. Because maybe it's not even the set. It's like has been absorbed or something. I don't know. Let's get this basically working and then figure out the details of it. So if field is in spec, so this is taking a config type spec and a config identifier, isn't it? Oh. Fine. Absorbed. Where did I write that wrong? I'll put the top of it. Right. Well, I'll tell you what, before we do anything, right, so I think this is wrong already. It's not that, is it? It's oh, we're not actually storing it, are we? So if you look here, we've got an ID for the scope. We've got this config type spec. So this is all the stuff that the config type, so this guy's parent can contain. But these aren't necessarily all the fields that it actually contains. We need to be going over the tree count, the pair count, and the the trees, the pairs, and the int pairs, and the regular pairs. Checking out their IDs, which is a bit of a pain in the ass actually. Another thing, you see that we're doing these pairs have got a string and a key. Oh, sorry. The key is a string. These keys are actually, I mean, I know that they are these strings, but this string here should really be an ID, an actual config identifier. I think that goes for everywhere. So I guess like let's change that. Yeah, that's fine. Config pair ID, config pairs, int pairs, script tree. I think that's fine. Let's just change this. So size of a config pair. So yeah, this key, we need to be able to print the actual the actual thing. Guess colorize. What would be a nice way of doing this? Yeah, it's just this, isn't it? It's just Princey, yellow key, yellow bird, yellow bolt. And then again, it's just this same line. Ah. Do I have a null one? Yeah, I do. So if it's not, I don't null. Perfect. Okay, so this is where we're setting the key. So we want to say config get config ID from token. Now, do I have that? I do. Get config identifier from token. Fine. Get config identifier from token. Magic. Oh, right, yeah. So it still runs and builds and all that. So now what I actually want to be doing, let me just check if those are there any strings differs on stuff that I shouldn't really be doing strings differing on. Current field is in spec, so that's going to be fine. Token strings, yeah. Okay, I think we're okay. So if we go back to the absorb fields, it isn't the field count. It is the, we need to go over each dude basically. So it's is that what it is? Yeah. Now I will just print that. Just get rid of that warning. I don't think we have a. Do we have a push tree yet? Or a push scope? We might do actually for all that. And I think we do. Yeah. Push scope. We just don't want to be setting the parent to be that. So I mean, maybe we'll just completely set up for success here. Strangely enough. So we're going over all the trees. So we want to be looking at the tree. Oh, what? Trees ID key. right. Let's just write all of these out. So we're going to have the tree count, pair count, so the pair's ID has no member named ID. But this does it? Pairs? That's a thing of a joke. Config pair, pairs, config identifier, key values, so ID. So what did I say? Okay. Right, cool. So we're reading in the 0 page in Absorb field 1296. Ah, right. So we're trying to read from, I just went to the 0 page. Config identifier strings. Parent type spec field 1. Oh. I'm looking at the wrong thing, aren't I? Yes, I am. I should be saying parent trees I, yeah. This ain't right. It's key, isn't it? ID key, sorry. Yes, I think that's what I should be talking about. So then down here, this is parent pairs. And then similarly down here, in pairs. Okay. So here we go. If field is in spec, and because you can see here, Absorb Parents project, right? I don't want that to be popping up. Yeah, now you see that none of those actually happen. And also, it's worth noting that this parents include, when you actually, when I process the include, what's going to happen is, I imagine, is it going to go through this whole thing. So we've tokenized the entire file, right? And we're now onto the parsing stage, which is essentially just sticking these guys into this into these scope trees. When we come down to this include, what I imagine is going to have to happen here is that we quickly load in this file, tokenize it, and then push the containing stuff onto this guy's parent scope, right? So you push all these fields onto the root parent scope in this case. That is permitted. And then you just skip past the, we sort of depart this assignment, the include, so we don't push the actual include itself onto the thing, right? So this parent ain't going to include an include. And then we continue, right? And then when we go down here, we're actually going to be absorbing, well, I mean, we're not actually going to be absorbing anything because these things, the things that are in the included thing, just happen not to be in the specs of the project, right? But if they did, then we would be seeing in here absorbing person, absorbing medium, but you wouldn't see absorbing parents include, because this thing it won't exist. This include just will not be there in the as a field, as a field in its own right. So yeah, let's do this. So got absorbing parents. So I believe we should just be able to do this. Just say push scope, and it's just going to be I think it's probably just that. So that's taking a scope tree parent. Sorry. Push scope. Couldn't have had that. So it's expected a config pair. Ah. Right, okay, so that ain't actually... Yeah, that ain't exactly right. So let's ignore that for now, because we need to actually make one that actually pushes the entire scope. Let's just do this instead. That's unfortunate. It just didn't like that read. So what should push pair take? Push pair takes a config pair, a pointer to a config pair, which that's exactly what this is. So it's in 9116D. So is that? Fit pair. Parent pairs pair count. The pair count is equal to... Oh, hang on a minute. Have we not initialized the pair count properly? No, we should have done, shouldn't we? Pushed onto the wrong guy. That's what the problem is. I want to push onto this, not the parents. Right, there we go. So now you can see we've got we've got this guy duplicated into there, which is absolutely fine. We've got the update interval as well, it's pushed on there, which is bang on. So we've got multiple projects. So a quick close look at this. I might actually print out the thing in a different order. So print scope trees. I might actually just print out the what do I want to do? Print out the pairs first before the scope trees. Is that what I want? And where's this indentation coming from? It doesn't matter. I don't think. Wonder why I'm printing out those guys exactly. Is that just... I guess that's just what I wanted to do, I suppose. So we've got a couple of support. Yeah, you can see there. So we've got this thing here. We've pushed on too many icons. So we want to get that down to just the one. So the hero project is containing the code project, and we've managed to get all of this stuff in. So we've got the HTML directory. I mean, what I was talking about in terms of showing these guys first. I mean, if I just do this, we've got a project reader. So yeah, it's not really representing exactly what I want. Oh, we have got that. I guess actually, is it just this? And also not even that like that, is it just that? No. Jesus. Actually, because there's the decrement increment, the decrement indentation there. I wonder if this is all correct. Doesn't really matter, but it's just like in terms of making it a bit more readable. Yeah, okay, I think that seems alright. So it looks a bit more like you can follow what's actually where stuff is flowing. So yeah, we've got this root scope here. So these are the things that are declared at the root scope. Got that included. Then we've got a project hero. And it's pulling in the HTML dir from up here, which is perfect. Template's dir. Search template equals that. So it's pulling in all of the stuff down to the update interval. It's set the unit itself, hasn't it? And interestingly, this is sorted somehow, isn't it? Where's that unit coming from? Ignore privacy is false up here. Worth bearing in mind that this is just test stuff, so guide.riskitch.tv ain't it's not the real thing for that. Yeah, so project hero unit is day, and then within the handwrite hero project there's code, which we do see. We are seeing the code is there. We are seeing Ray as well. Oh, it's because it's just printing them out in. It's printing out the strings before the int. That's all that's going on there. Yeah, it prints out the string pairs, then the int pairs, then it finally prints out the trees, prints out the scopes. So that's fine. It's not actually sorting it. It's just that it's put the day after the other stuff that it's pulled in, that it's absorbed. So risky. So right, risky's got some interesting things going on. It's got the risky project. It's got the risk project. Right, this risky project here, and the risk project. It's got the book project, and then within the book project, it's got the coad project, and the reader project. Now my question is, are we already pulling in the scopes that we need? So the scopes that we apparently include is we apparently include the include scope. Because you remember that we haven't actually written that print scope. Sorry, the absorb scope part. Right, in the scope, we don't actually push scopes on. Absorbing parents might actually just say scope. Absorbing parent scope, so yeah, it should be absorbing at the include. Which means that we should be seeing within the thing. Well, we won't be seeing it, but when we do this, we should be seeing that it includes that. I mean, Also, in some ways, we could sort of hack it and just sort of say, because we know that the project type doesn't contain anything that we actually can absorb. It doesn't contain any scopes that we can absorb as scopes. I don't think. Like we can't absorb things that are the same idea as us. So we can't absorb projects, but we can absorb it's just you just can't absorb projects. You can absorb other stuff. You can't absorb includes. Right. The only things in here that are scopes are the include, which you can apparently have many of them. Well, I say things you can absorb. I mean, technically, you can't actually absorb these because these are going to get expanded anyway and replaced with stuff. But you can, like, a project can apparently include multiple of these. It can include projects, but we've just established that you can't absorb stuff that is yourself, right? And everything else just aren't scopes. I mean, actually, you can just see it easily up here. The only scopes that we have are support, include, person, and medium. And the project doesn't contain person or medium. Or support. Sorry, yeah, it does, doesn't it? Oh no, it doesn't. It doesn't contain that because it's only the. It's only the person. Persons contain supports. Hold on a second. Shouldn't people be able to absorb supports? They should, shouldn't they? So the way we're going to use this is in the credits menu. We see who the owner is set to. If it's set to Miyatatsu, then we see if he has a support set. So in this case, he's got a support Patreon set and a support page PayPal. If he's got a support set, then we want to be looking up into the support array, I think. Well, actually, maybe we don't, actually. So yeah, like I say, maybe it does just want to be absorbing that. Yeah, let's say that this guy can absorb. Right. So it kind of can absorb the name, homepage, and support. It'd be weird for it to absorb the homepage or the name, honestly. But that'd be the responsibility of the person who's written the config, really. Oops. So do we have any people at all yet? We don't even have any people because we're not handling the include. So let's just paste him in. We have got support here. So this is a scope. So we're not actually handling the absorption of scopes yet. Well, we need to do the absorption and also the merging in, because it's like we set this guy. Right, we merge this support in to Mio, but the Mio himself contains a support page pal which only sets the URL. So it should keep the icon, but when it sees this, it should just push this onto the PayPal scope. Right. So yeah, let's see if we can get this push scoping working. So push scope is currently taking only the identifier, isn't it? But we sort of want to be saying it's probably going to be a recursive thing as well, isn't it? It's like for each scope that this guy contains, push that on, and keep going until we've got everyone on. I wonder actually if you just want to change push scope to take a scope tree. Right. And then when you actually call push scope, say that you call it down here. You're pushing the parent onto the parent. I think what you would do is you do something like a config, what's it, a scope tree, isn't it? Config tree. what do we call it? Config scope tree, is it? Right. Do that. What is ID exactly? It's just an actual config pair. Yes, it's not a pointer to one. It's just an actual thing. So you just say config ID. The key is going to be equal to the pair key. Right, and the new ID value is equal to the pair value. And then you just pass that to here instead. Right, so we've set the actual ID. So this is like and it's also like yeah, I think calling push scope in this function should be okay as well. You know, what I'm driving at is like pushing the parents, the guys that are contained within the parent onto this as well. And then progressively pushing them onto like this owns trees. If that makes sense. I don't know. So obviously this tree itself is going to have a new ID. I mean, can't you just dereference the parent? No, you can't, because it would be pointing to the same stuff. And yeah, you can't have it pointing to the same stuff, can you? So yeah, you do need to push them on separately, I reckon. Can you just do that? Yeah, this ID is equal to the parent ID. So that accounts for all of this lot. You want to set the parent to be the parent. Right? I think wherever I see parent, I just need to be changing that to this, because that's what I just renamed them to, wasn't it? Then it's just how I do this. Have I done this correctly? I mean, these guys are just nulling out. Yeah, it is right, isn't it? To do this. If we scope onto this. Yeah, it's weird because it's like this is the parent, right? But I'm actually calling them the opposite way around. So I was originally passing the parent as the first argument, and the new pair, the new ID, as a second argument. Tell you what, I'm going to revert all of this lot. And I'm going to make another function calling it absorb scope. Absorb fields. which is just going to be a blanket copy, really. So let's just call it that. Copy fields, copy scope rather. Yeah, and I think maybe just avoid star would just do it. Avoid regular. I think this is what you want. Right, so the dest ID is going to be equal to the source ID. Well, I think you do just push pairs. I think that's just what you do. Okay, so you're pushing on all of those dudes, and then we come down to the scopes. And I mean, it is sort of like, it's kind of the same, right? Oh, we probably also want to set some other stuff, don't we? Yeah, we could just dereference the... Yeah, set the guy's parents. And dereference the type spec. Do we need to bother about that, the parents? Because I don't think we do we? Because in our scope, we're going to have a parent of our own, which won't necessarily be the parent of the guy that we're copying from. So yeah, let's just say that we don't do that, but we do. We do this. Now, see what's going on here, right? Copy scope dest to source trees. I mean, why didn't that die? Shouldn't that have told me that I can't call copy scope from within copy scope without actually having forward declared it? Also, we do need to be pushing, right? Because we do need the memory for it. So it's almost like you just sort of have to do. Right, push scope this. I think that'll be correct. And then you're basically saying yeah, I don't know, dude. It just seems weird because we're not going to end up. I do think we need to recurse into this thing, so you can pull in the entire scope and all of its scopes. I mean, although again, we could just cheese out. We could just sort of say, oh, we don't need to cheese out. We don't need to. We can do this. I was going to say though, like, because the only thing that we're talking about here is actually handling the case where a person inherits a support, right? So all we need to have happening here is that this guy, right? We go down to this person. We copy in the support from here. So we're going to push scope. Well, copy scope. So we're getting the ID, which is going to be this. And then we're going to go through all the pairs. So we're going to get this, right? There aren't going to be any in pairs. And then there aren't going to be any trees either, right? So we're going to copy everything. And this guy doesn't contain any trees. So, I mean, if I just comment this out now, that should actually work. And we should see that if you look in Miotatsu's entry, what? So there's this person. And then you can see that he has inherited, where's he inherited? Fuck all, hasn't he? PayPal icon. Why has that happened exactly? Am I actually calling copy scope? I'm not calling copy scope, that'll be why. So now we die because of a right memory access in push pair. So we've got this. So that'll be because we haven't actually fitted. Still got a right memory access going to the 0 page. So we've got the scope tree dest. We've got this. We're trying to copy a scope to this. It doesn't like the push pair. Yeah, it's just the push pair he doesn't like. Push pair itself should be calling fit pair. The dest is the scope tree. So yeah, it is that. Fit scope, block size of tree count. Realloc that. Oh, hold on a second. Did we not push scope anyway? So it's not liking. So we do push scope should be fitting scope. When we copy scope, we're getting in the dest, and fit scope should be. It's on 1296. It's this particular push pair. It's right into the 0 page, yeah. Oh, yeah. We don't need to be pushing even, right? What we should really be doing, or what we might as well do, is hard set the count. And then rather than pushing, just say for each of them, just say that the dest is equal, we just dereference them. So yeah, let's just do that, rather than pushing. Because that might guide the other thing, actually. You just sort of say that the... I think it's just that, is it? Yeah. I think this should be okay, I think. Although this might die. So it doesn't like the right memory access again. Dest pairs is equal to that. Source pairs. So it's in the pair count to be equal to the source pair count. Oh, it's the copy scope, is it? Where is it? Sorry, where is copy scope? It's the 1296, so it's this one it doesn't like. So it's writing, it doesn't like writing to the dest pairs. Oh shit, yeah, sorry, we need to allocate it, don't we? Of course. Right. Yeah, I think it's time to get some food. Jesus. And then down here was just pushing scope. So wasn't that interesting actually, that we've ended up with a much shorter output? Right? I mean, like before, when we didn't bother to push that scope, we ended up with like all this stuff. But now that we're copying scope to this, we're just losing a load of stuff. It's going to be because of this push scope, isn't it? Yeah, it's that particular push scope, because we're setting that to be nothing. Or rather, we're setting the tree count to be nothing. Is that right? We're just not setting the tree count. Are we getting any people at all? We're not. We're not getting. For some reason, we've got include popping up twice. Well, 3 times actually. We've got the support PayPal, support Patreon. We've got support Patreon twice actually, haven't we? We've got them twice at the same scope. So we're just not pushing onto the right scope or something. That's probably what's going on. We're just not pushing to the right scope. And then when we push onto the wrong scope, we're just losing everybody else. Yeah, let's just leave that copy scope off for now, and just leave it doing this. I'm not exactly sure why it's doing so many spaces now, by the way, because it wasn't really doing that before, was it? Seems like it's spacing it differently depending on how many scope levels you are in, isn't it? So we're not doing any new lines at all. We're not doing any new lines, and we're also not getting any. Well, obviously we're doing them in these guys here, the print pair, print pairs, and the print in pairs. We're doing them in there. We're not doing them in the print scope tree function itself. And everything seems to look okay actually. So yeah, I don't really understand why that ain't necessary. I guess because trees maybe themselves don't necessarily have anything. Like, trees only contain their own ID and a number of pairs, whether it's a string pair or an int pair. String pairs and int pairs get new lines correctly. And then when you do an actual print scope tree, you know, you're only ever actually printing out actual pairs. So you don't need to new line the full thing, I guess. That's what's going on. But yeah. Absorb fields, yeah. Let's just call it here for now. Get some food. And I surely will do another stream today. maybe go until midnight or something. Yeah, during which we'll try and figure out what's going on with this. We'll try and finish out this absorb fields function. Yeah, that's the current topic, absorb fields. So yeah, food for now and then maybe later. So thank you very much, heroes and heroines, and farewell for now.